feel like Gordon Bombay would have taken his career to even further heights.
Everything's flashy, everything's cocaine, everything's fun.
Open wide for some soccer!
I don't care what you think about what your personal thoughts are at home. I care that you hate the Cowboys.
Call this college ruled!
Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Experience Podcast. I'm Chris. This is Dom. We're just a couple of comics out here talking sports. We always record right here at Engle Studio. They're available for all your audio needs. And please give our YouTube channel the like, the subscribe, comments on our videos. We're trying to get that going. Who do we got today? I don't know if you could tell by this mustache.
Oh, we have yet to do an episode on this sport. Or some people might not call it a sport. I call it a sport, though, because of all that it entails. We are back on the racetrack, Chris.
Oh, yeah. We're on the racetrack, maybe for the first... Well, not for the first time. We
Mario Andretti. Yeah.
But we're on the NASCAR track. We're talking about Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator. The Intimidator with that intimidating mustache, just like Chris's.
Oh, that's right. I had to match it stash for stash.
Got that big stash energy, Chris.
And this is also a part of our block episodes of father and sons in sports. So we're going to be talking about fathers and sons who play the same sport and all the stuff that connects them with that. So the first one right now is Dale Earnhardt. Here we go.
Let's get into it. Ralph Dale Earnhardt.
That's right.
That's right. His first name is Ralph, not like Wiggum. Born April 29th, 1951 in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Third child of Martha and Ralph. His dad was one of the best short track drivers in all of North Carolina.
I saw when they were talking about it, they said he was one of the first guys to actually make a living just off short track.
That is so cool.
So it was post-prohibition, post-rum running, if you will.
Hi, I'm Ralph Earnhardt, and welcome to Jackass.
Well, that's where they literally were making money from, and then there was this drop-off, and people said that he was so good that he could actually make a living off of it.
Oh, alcohol's back, but we have these fast cars, Chris. What are we going to do with them?
He actually discouraged Dale.
Yeah, he discouraged Dale. Yeah, definitely.
I thought that was interesting. Growing up, I thought it was going to be more of this is what we do, but he really did not want him to be a racer.
No, he probably wanted him to make a living that wasn't as, up and down and crazy as, professional stock car racing. Something stable, something steady, I think, is kind of the route that he
Especially
wanted.
in those days. I mean,
because
literally,
this is the beginnings.
He was like one of three guys that were making money.
This is like extreme game skydiving, Chris.
Yeah.
But you can't keep Dale off the track, though. He won a championship at Pickens Speedway in South Carolina in 1963 at age 12. Then another story, he secretly drove his dad's car posing as him and raced against one of his dad's biggest competitors.
Which is awesome.
That's like Dennis Reynolds go, I'm going to throw a frame bang your way. Dad, I'm going... Marge leaving now. Not back, avenge death. Sorry.
So he was very reckless, though. That was something, and...
I think you have to be a stock car racer, Chris.
Yes. He ends up dropping out of high school.
Yeah.
So, that was something that his father was, adamant about was, you're right, he wanted him to have a different life, and he literally had the life. I mean,
he had a better life than his dad did.
No, but he literally had he couldn't keep him away from it.
Yeah.
No matter what he did.
Racing's in my blood.
Yeah. First or last.
First. I gotta lay off the peyote. He drops out of high school in 1970, drops out of high school, and then shortly after, his dad dies
of a heart attack.
Age 45 of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And Dale said he always kind of carried that with him, where it was motivation to prove himself, to be like, I want to make you proud, but I also want to show you I dropped out of high school for a reason.
Yes, definitely. Because there was that kind of why are you doing this? Why did you drop out of high school? And then he ends up dying a couple of years later. And he was just like, I literally have to prove that this wasn't a mistake.
Yeah, this. I chose this path, and now I have to make it right, almost. In 1975, he makes his NASCAR Winston Cup Series debut and competed in 8 more races before he joined Rod Osterlund Racing.
Yeah. So he just kind of starts off as just kind of like they have guys that kind of hop in. He's definitely not a main racer at this point. And then you're right, goes to Rod Osterlund, which is such a great fucking name, in 79.
Wins 1 race at Bristol, has 4 poles, and scored 11 top 5s that year. 17 top 10s, finished 7th in points, and he missed 4 races with a broken collarbone.
And he was Rookie of the Year.
He was Rookie of the Year, so we're already starting to see Dale Earnhardt making some noise in NASCAR.
Well, I want to say this because he kind of came from a lot of short track racing, and people said that he drove so fucking aggressive.
Well, yeah.
That was the big thing, that coming to NASCAR, it was a little bit less aggressive. Like, some guys would see a hole and they'd be like, maybe I shouldn't take that. And they said even in this early on, Dale would see a hole and he'd be like, taking that.
Yep.
And that's the thing that I think
Chris, his mustache was taken.
That's right. That's the thing with his racing, was it was always offensive. So that's something that will come back like way later, but he definitely was always looking to, I don't even know if they got this from him, but I feel like he was definitely a first or last kind of guy.
Yeah, well, Chris, I feel like he's the type of guy where he's not there to make friends.
No.
He's there to win races.
And that's something that a lot of guys said, was they like had respect for him, but they weren't like hanging out with him afterward. Like, it wasn't like that. Yeah.
It wasn't like, you want to play golf this weekend?
No.
You know, drink a couple beers. 1980. Wins the Busch Clash, has wins in Atlanta, Bristol, Nashville, Martinsville, and Charlotte. And this is the season where he wins his first points championship, wins first Winston Cup Championship. And he was the 3rd driver to win both the Rookie of the Year and then followed up with a championship the next season. The other 2 guys were David Pearson and Richard Petty.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I had read that 10 more people have done it since, but like for those 2 guys to be in that kind of like, you're obviously doing something right.
And that's what people were saying, was after like Rookie of the Year, everyone was like, oh, here's another good driver that we're going to see. And then he literally goes on and wins the points championship with literally like 6 wins that year. Yeah. And people were like, oh, he's going to be one of the best drivers. Yeah. And then 81, which was such a weird... this is what you see, that literally there's like, the money has not come into racing.
It hasn't. No, because Osterlund sells a team.
It sells a winning team.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you just never will see nowadays, is he literally is coming off of...
This isn't the WNBA.
And... Rookie of the Year, he has this driver, middle of the season, he's just like, you know what? I think I'm going to sell that team. I got this guy coming in. What's his name? Jim? I forgot what his name was. But,
Jim Tracy.
Jim
Stacy.
Jim Stacy.
Stacy Tracy, some lady name.
And after 4 races, he has a falling out with Dale, and it's so weird to think of like, this could have kind of all stopped right here.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Luckily for Dale, he finishes the season with Richard Childress Racing and places 7th. But yeah, it's impossible to think when you see NASCAR now of something like that even happening.
Yeah, selling a team a good team.
Yeah.
You know,
joins Budmore Racing in 1982 and 1983. Records a win at Darlington in 1982, but fails to finish 18 of his 30 races.
Yeah.
Finishes 12th in points, which is the worst. To finish 12th in points, to be the worst, you have to be an amazing driver for that to be the case. That's pretty dang incredible.
I think that's the big thing that they were saying out throughout his career, was he was like always in the top.
Yeah,
always.
But he was always putting himself in danger, because this year he had a broken kneecap at the Poconos in an accident with Tim Richmond. So, I mean, like you said before about his aggressiveness, yeah, it's there.
Yes, it's very much. He is very much an aggressive. He'll take it to the point where it was too much, actually. But yeah, man.
In 83, wins first of 12 twin Daytona 500s. races, not the Daytona 500, but the twins.
Yeah.
He wins at Nashville and Talladega and is 8th in points, despite not finishing 17 of his 30. So these are kind of, I won't say lost years, but they're definitely years you wish you could have seen him more on the racetrack.
Well, people were saying that the thing that really came with when his racing really came to like the prime for like a decade or whatever he did it was when he stopped having the did not finish the races, and he would go through an entire year without them. And that was like the big thing where he would collect these points on these races that he knew he wasn't going to win, but like the other ones he would literally be striving too hard. You know what I mean? Like he would be taking too many chances. He'd be wrecking too much.
Ricky, I don't understand that bumper sticker. You could come in second, you could come in third, you could come in fourth, and that's what he was doing. If he wasn't first, he was like top 5 almost all the time.
Yep.
Racking up those points. He goes back to Richard Childress Racing in 1984. This is when he goes to number 3. This is when he goes to his famous number 3. In 84 and 85, he wins 6 times and placed, what I believe, 4th and 8th overall in both seasons. So he's kind of back on track as far as racking up those points.
And we see him really kind of explode in this next 2 years.
Oh, God.
Like I was saying, like you were saying, with the 12th being the weird year.
The anomaly.
Yeah, he literally is always in like the top 5. And then in 86, he wins the Winston Cup points again.
Wins 5 races, 16 top 5s, 23 top 10s, and in 1987, 11. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
For freaking stock car race, Jesus Christ!
It's quite when you look at the way these races are held, especially nowadays. Like nobody really dominated like that.
He won in '87 by 489 points over Bill Elliott. Like he set a NASCAR record that year with 4 straight wins, 5 in his first 7 races, and this is when we start getting to the Intimidator age, I would say. He earned that nickname in the 87 Winston All-Star race. He was forced into the infield, kept control, didn't give up, and just said pedal to the metal and just,
didn't lose his lead. So he literally goes inside on the grass, comes back, keeps the lead. They call it the
pass in the grass.
Pass in the grass, even though he didn't pass somebody. I guess, and I want to say this because there was a sense of people that loved him because he was like winning.
Yeah.
He ended up changing his colors to be like all black
and red, which was sleek as fuck though, dude.
And this is where he really embraced this other fan base of them hating him.
Oh, dude, he fed off that.
And he said it. He goes, "When they're booing on Sunday, I'm cashing my check on Monday." That was literally a quote from him because that's why he wanted to be like this badass.
That's some Michael Jordan shit right there.
Yeah, because he really was a fucking his whole image, and he was, I think, one of the first guys of this NASCAR to really be like, I'm a bad boy, this is my image, we can market this. Like,
you're gonna put me in Teen Beat.
Yeah.
Maybe not with the mustache, but that was the year also an angry fan sent NASCAR CEO Bill France Jr. because fans didn't like him if you weren't on board. A letter threatening to kill him at multiple races.
So they actually had FBI protection at multiple races.
But like, how can you hate a guy like that who's helping grow the sport exponentially?
I mean,
that's true. Yeah,
you look at it.
I still hate Tom Brady.
I was just gonna say, Jordan had haters, and Brady, yeah.
So in 1988, GM Goodwrench is the new sponsor, and this is when he changes.
Oh, this
his
is
colors.
actually, yes.
Yeah, this is the year. Finishes 3rd in points, and then in '89 he has 5 wins. But unfortunately, a spin out at North Wilkesboro cost him he lost by 12 points to Rusty Wallace. He could have had another Winston Cup title. That would have been freaking insane.
So I just want to point this out.
And it's his first season in the Chevy Lumina, so he's starting in the Chevys now.
So I just want to point this out, though, from 86 to 90. He literally had first, third, second, and second. Like you said, he just barely got second. So, like, he is literally the dominating force in NASCAR.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then in 1990, wins the Busch Clash, the Heat and the Gatorade Twin 125. And then in the Daytona 500, something This is like his white whale. This is his Captain Ahab.
And this was the first
Shit.
time. So like he hadn't won it at this point. And
he's leading after the 40th lap.
He's been his
leading 42nd lead. Yeah, I should say.
I was going to say he had been leading for like 150 laps. It was some crazy number like that. He was out. He had a huge lead, and they're literally on the final lap, and there's just some piece of metal.
Yeah, just some random piece.
And they said it was from like a bell that got hit when like a car hit the wall or something like that, and it just was in the middle of the road. His tire he runs over
cut his tire.
It rips his tire to complete shreds, and I think he ends up getting like 5th.
Yeah, Derek Copia ended up winning, even though he led 135 of the 200 laps.
And if you watch this, it is legitimately sad because, like, literally, they're like, "Dale's about to go in for the win." Wait, what just happened? What? Because you see his car just like literally start to just like stop going. You're just like, "Oh my god!"
Look, Lise, you can pinpoint the exact moment that his heart rips in half.
Literally. And then they take that tire and they hang it up onto their garage, and they're like, "Look, whenever we see this, we're gonna know Salinas ripped it off."
That's right.
So there you go.
Oh God. But 1990 isn't a total loss. He still wins 4 races, and he wins his 4th overall Winston Cup points title. So he's still chasing that Daytona 500, but by that same token, my God, this guy has established himself as arguably one of the best race car drivers to ever do it.
Absolutely.
91, all he does is repeat. All he seems to do is just keep on winning. 4 wins that year. In one of the races at North Wilkesboro, Harry Gant, I believe, was going for his 5th straight win to beat Dale's record. And Dale ends up beating him in the race, just like almost out of spite.
I loved it. Oh, they're not taking that record from me.
N.O. 92, his only win was at the Coca-Cola 600, which ended a 13 race win streak for 4 teams in the event. But this was a year also he finished 12th.
Yes.
So, yeah, he had 2 kind of outlier seasons. 3 last place finishes this year for him, too.
Well, this was actually kind of interesting because they said it was for the first time his team kind of broke up. So his crew chief went and became his own driver. And there was kind of like that kind of not stability in the crew, which you don't really probably, I mean, if you're into NASCAR, you think about it. But for us that aren't really into NASCAR, you don't think about that being so important. But it is because
it's a vital part of your team.
He's literally like the coach out there. So I'm just saying. So he switches his crew chief, and that really revitalizes
Andy
it.
Petrie, there was a good story after that year where Rusty Wallace and him were sat in the back of the NASCAR awards banquet, and Dale turns to him and goes, "This sucks. I should have gone hunting."
Well, he's always in the front.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing that I love so much because he literally stands up on his chair. He's like, "I can't see anything. This sucks.
Why am I even here?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go out and win more to spite you bastards." So in 1993, what does he go do? He spites all those bastards. Wins his 6th title, wins 6 races in November 14th, 1993 at the Hooters 500 in Atlanta. God bless Hooters.
He actually gets 2nd in Daytona this year again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They say that he's lost Daytona every single way possible, which I love. 94.
Oh, no, I meant to say, though, he had a victory lap.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk more about Hooters. All right, go ahead.
I mean, that would be good. With one of the other drivers for recently deceased 1992 Winston Cup winner Alan Koslinski and I think Davey Allison.
Well, it was two. It was really weird because it was 2 drivers that died separately in 2 separate plane crashes.
Yeah, so they held out their flags as they went around the track in the Hooters.
In the Hooters, and then the girls came out respectful. Girls.
Damn it.
I don't know what you guys were thinking.
In 1994.
I'll have the chicken breast. Hold the chicken.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What are you 12? because I'm laughing too.
Yeah, it's a solid one. It has worked.
Zero times.
All right.
1994, 7th Winston Cup title, tying Richard Petty. 4 wins and 400 more points than Mark Martin, who was in second place.
And that was the other thing that people were saying was when he won by a lot. When he would come in second by like 15 points, 30 points.
Yeah.
And when he won, it was like, oh, he's up 250 points. It's like, oh, shit. All right.
Yeah. In 1995, finishes second again at Daytona, which is like, come on. It has to happen, right?
Well, that's what they were saying was it was such a place for him that nobody thought he was going to overcome this. He actually wins Indy that year, Indy Motor Speedway, and he actually said that was his biggest individual win ever.
That's pretty cool,
On
though.
the bricks.
On the bricks. The Brickyard 400. And then
he comes
started
second.
driving that year the Chevy Monte Carlo.
Oh, yeah,
actually.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the GM, they switched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
96. Again, he dominated sweep weeks, but finished second at the Daytona 500 to Dale Jarrett by a ridiculously small amount of time.
And I think this one, maybe it was the next one, had a bad crash.
Yeah.
Because he actually had a bad crash at Daytona where they actually made a rule called the it's just called the Earnhardt rule or the Earnhardt bar, where it was a metal bar.
Yeah, this was the season at Talladega that it happened at.
Okay.
Yeah, so the crash came through and it like just completely went through the freaking windshield.
Yeah, it like destroyed the roof. If you look at it, the windshield, and they realized they're like, oh, we need to reinforce that. And this is the thing that I kind of feel like for NASCAR, when people are like, it's a hillbilly sport, it's because they're like, well, we're not going to put any safety precautions until somebody like really gets hurt. Yeah. They're like, no. He could have died there. They're like, all right, we'll put a bar there.
It's called Scotch tape, Chris.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, God. He actually got out of his car and walked after this crash.
Yep.
And like waved to the crowd despite a broken collarbone, sternum, shoulder blade. What the hell, man?
Yeah, he was pretty much falling apart and still.
The next week he tried to race, and fans were wearing "It Hurts So Good" T-shirts, but he wasn't able to finish the race and had somebody finish for him, and he said it was like the hardest thing to watch somebody in the car.
Yeah, in his number 3, because that's like his car.
In 97, though, it's kind of a down year. He was winless for only the second time in his career. 10 laps to go at Daytona. Yeah, like you said, there was a late crash on the backstretch, which kind of screwed him over. So at Darlington, he ended up hitting the wall.
Yeah, that was a weird one. He was like...
double vision.
Yeah.
Remember, Chris, these are 90s concussions.
Yes, exactly. And that's what somebody was saying when I read that. They were just like, oh, yeah, no, those are all the symptoms of a concussion that he had earlier.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a fuck.
It was called the 90s.
Just shake it off.
Rub some tussin on it, Chris. All right, but we get it. Finishes the season, I believe, 8th. But in 98, this is...
Here we go.
Here we go, Chris. You start us off with the most important race.
So at Daytona, after 19 failed starts...
He's like the Susan Lucci of NASCAR at this juncture for Daytona.
He ends up winning his first ever Daytona 500.
Beating pretty boy Jeff Gordon.
I feel like it wouldn't have been such a big deal if he hadn't come second all of these times. Just some little hillbilly fantasy fairy tale for you. Some little girl came up to him and gave him a penny and said, "This is your lucky penny," and he actually glued it to his dashboard.
Did he really?
Yeah, and that ended up being his lucky penny because he ended up winning. So just a little hillbilly fairy tale for you out there. I'm just saying, it was nice. It was sweet.
After the race, he said, "I've had a lot of great fans and people behind me all through the years, and I can't thank them enough. The Daytona 500 is ours. We won it. We won it. We won it."
I love that quote.
And how
I read that.
He drove onto the infield for that victory lap, and that just started a tradition, though, which is pretty cool, I think.
Well, that was what he said. He was just like, I wanted to really embrace this moment that he probably never thought was going to come.
Later that year, the team ends up switching up crew chiefs with one of his fellow drivers. He finishes 8th, but it doesn't really matter. He won the race that he had always wanted to and been destined to end up winning. Going into 99, because he's 48 now, people are thinking he might end up retiring because his son, Dale Jr., is making his Winston Cup debut. But Dale just goes out and wins races at Talladega and the Bristol Night Race.
Well, I thought it was interesting because he kind of starts to bring in this young crop of his son and Darrell Waltrip, who I just found this so interesting that Dale Earnhardt actually vouches for Waltrip to be brought on their racing team after he literally doesn't have a single win in 430 tries.
Yeah.
So he literally is like not won a single race in a decade. And Dale said, no, this guy can race. We should bring him onto our team. Mm-hmm. And it was that was their team, was the two Dales and Darrell Waltrip. It was the 3 Ds. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, yeah.
They tried to get
Triple D.
They tried to get sponsored by Hooters. It did not. All right, that's it. No more Hooters jokes.
I am not in favor of that. I say keep going. Whenever.
I want 2 more.
You call that? No, I'm just joking. In 2000, he ends up winning over Bobby Labonte by 0.01 seconds in Atlanta. Gained 17 positions in the final 4 laps in a win at Talladega, and records his 10th win at that track, and wins the $1 million bonus race, I guess.
Well, I feel like this year, because everyone is saying in 99, are you going to retire? 2000, he shows that he can still race.
Rex cost him another title because he finished 2nd that year.
Yes, he literally still shows that he can race with the best of them, and he comes 2nd in points. And that was the thing that everybody was saying, was just like, oh, no, he's bowing out for his son. And then you're like, oh, no, it's going to be this Earnhardt family fucking thing.
Shake and bake!
Yeah, no, literally. And that's what man, are we getting into it?
Oh, man, that's right. The Magic Man.
The Magic Man.
Now you see me. Now you do. God, that's pretty cool. Now we get into the 2001 season. Should we just get into it then? All right. Start us off, Chris.
So February 8th, 2001. It's the Daytona 500.
18th or 8th? No, whatever. It doesn't.
February 18th is what I got. What do you got?
I got 18th. You said 8th.
Did I say 8th? Yeah. My bad. 2001. It's actually in the last lap. So this is the thing
the disturbing thing.
It's so wild. I want to say, so it's laid out. So fucking Waltrip's number 1, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is number 2, and Dale is number 3. So they're in like the same team. So they're essentially kind of like playing together, if you will. And what is said is Dale is trying to keep, I forget who it is. I think it's Ken Schrader from passing him. So he's literally, because they know Ken has a faster car, so he's literally just staying in front of him the whole time. Yeah. And they come around, I believe it's the 3rd turn, and he crashes with Ken and then proceeds to head-on crash into the wall and into Sterling Martin's car. So it's a double... It's a double crash. Waltrip goes on to win his first ever race.
Yeah.
This is why
that's put such a black cloud over it, though. That has to suck wild. So much. Dale ends up dying of a fatal basilar skull fracture in the autopsy performed the next day. They basically had to start investigating what the hell happened as far as safety precautions right after that.
And
taken away entirely too soon over something like that.
Yes, because I think he crashed into the wall at 160, and then the other guy, I think Sterling, hit him at 140 or whatever it was, and they were saying he just didn't have enough protection in his car. That was like kind of the talks that were going around over the last couple of years. The
seatbelt company, Bill Simpson resigned.
Yes.
After this.
Because they said the seatbelt was just not adequate.
They put in a device in the car, the Hans device, to keep the head and the neck. And this had already been invented.
Yeah.
NASCAR made that mandatory, and it was something that Dale did not wear. He refused to wear it. Not that it's his fault, but NASCAR after that was like, no, everybody needs to do this.
Yes.
Everybody needs to do this to prevent another tragedy from basically happening again. Even worse, Sterling and Schrader end up getting hate mail out of this,
so
which
much.
is like,
And
Dale Jr. and Waltrip had to be like, no, you need to stop.
Schrader was literally their friend. He came up to Waltrip to tell him what happened, so he's celebrating.
Oh, good God.
And he's like, hey, you need to, because Dale's not, it's not good. And he said he kind of didn't get what he was saying because, I mean, just to think about what happened, it's not like they turned around and saw it.
No.
He's getting loaded in, and the paramedics show up, and it was when it's just so sad. But like when these two guys who really had nothing to do with it, they got so much hate mail, and he said it still affects them today. I mean, obviously,
Oh, yeah, you got to have PTSD from something like that.
It's literally like killing one of your, not like friends, but like work associates that you see every day, but like
on accident, not on purpose.
Yeah, Schrader and them were actually like friends. That's what he said, was like we were like all kind of friends. This is what I kind of try to like imagine it in another sport. Be like, because he was loved and hated, be like Derek Jeter dying in the 9th inning of the World Series.
Oh God, that's yeah. Honestly, yeah, like the end of the Daytona 500.
And they're like, they got the champagne out, you got goggles on, and people are like, whoa, guys, sorry, Derek died. Like, it's so fucking crazy to think, and because he was this iconic of a guy that literally died at the last moment of one of the biggest races.
But you know what's crazy to think? If he doesn't die at that race, he might still be racing in his 70s.
I think he would have had another points championship.
Yep.
And like there's shit like that where you look at his 2000, the way he was racing, the way their team was racing together, they literally were like
He'd
great.
be 71 now. I don't necessarily know if he'd still be racing, but he would have been racing into his 60s. Well, obviously with that mustache, he'd be fucking.
That's right.
That's right. But so he was interred, or they had the private funeral February 21st, 2001. NASCAR actually owns the rights to the number 3, so it's not necessarily retired. It really only has been used by, I think, the grandchildren of Richard Childress, who was his former person in charge of his racing team.
I think they sent out a memo or whatever asking teams not to use it. And then there was something that was going around where at the third lap, fans would hold up a 3.
Yeah. Well, the 3 is iconic. They have Earnhardt Tower at Daytona for a reason.
Yep. They have Earnhardt Tower. And like, he was such an iconic racer and then dies. It's
such
crazy.
a strange death.
Get
like,
over
the
it.
death is not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like that early or like that, you know? I mean, granted, it is a dangerous sport, but, you know, you don't envision something like that happening to the most iconic person.
Well, I want to say this because he definitely changed the sport. It's one of these guys who, like, changes stuff in the sport where, like, he was dominating in the 80s and 90s, and then people were saying he really was that first guy to get big money to come in.
Yeah,
like, he was
advertising.
The advertising, the icon of the sport. When Fox Sports ended up buying him the rights to NASCAR, I think in 98, 99, whenever it was, they were like, oh, no, we want him to be like the bad boy. Like, we want these things that he really was the
cultivated.
First guy.
Yeah, he's been doing this for over a decade. We just want to continue it, market it, and put actual money behind it.
Exactly, and that's when the money really started to roll in. The Wonder Bread sponsorship.
Yes, of course. The Laughing Clown malt liquor.
The Laughing Clown malt liquor. The Vagisil. All of it.
She's my muse.
She's my muse.
But no, Dale Earnhardt, inaugural NASCAR Hall of Fame, Indy Motor Speedway Hall of Fame. 7-time Cup points champion, 76 wins, 428 top 10s. There are guys that don't have that many races.
That's the thing. Like, if you were winning a race, you had to beat him. That was like, if you were winning a points thing in the 80s to the 2000, you had to beat him. He was such a guy that was just always there. Like, always, you would see his face with those sunglasses and that stash and that smile.
I'm afraid.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'll say this, just a little glimmer of light. So the way that these races run is they run Daytona 500 and then they run it reverse. And so 6 months later in July, they end up running it reverse. I believe it was the Pepsi 400.
Yeah.
But it's at Daytona, so it's at the exact same raceway. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. shows up and ends up winning that race
Yep.
with Waltrip getting second. And
That's
they were saying,
amazing.
like, they felt like he was racing with him like it was 6 months ago for the first time. And Dale Jr. was talking about it. He was just like, I was dealing with so much shit then that I didn't know. He didn't know what his life was going to be like. You know what I mean? And then he won that race, and he was just like, oh, it was. And literally, it was just like this. He goes, I have to prove this for my dad.
Yeah.
Like
His dad, he had to prove it for his dad.
Yep.
Like, I'm making the right life choice. I'm justifying it by winning.
by winning.
Because if you ain't first, you're last, Chris.
That's right. Please tune in to the next episode, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and check out all of our other episodes on this block, Fathers and Sons in Sports. I'm Chris. This is Dom. A special thank you to Ty and all of you out there.